I never believed in other worlds until the sandstorm swallowed me whole. One moment I was hiking through Arizona's red canyons, camera in hand, chasing the perfect sunset shot for my travel blog. The next, the sky turned the color of rust and fury, wind screaming like a living thing, and the ground beneath my boots simply opened up. I fell through layers of rock and time, tumbling through darkness that tasted of copper and ancient death, until I hit sand so hot it burned through my clothes. When I opened my eyes, 3 moons hung in a sky the color of dried blood, and I knew with absolute certainty that I was no longer on Earth. The desert stretched endlessly in every direction, dunes rising like frozen waves of gold and amber, but the sand itself seemed wrong, glittering with an iridescence that hurt to look at directly. The air was thick, heavy with a perfume I couldn't name, sweet and cloying and faintly narcotic. My head spun as I tried to stand, and that's when I saw them, the ruins. Massive pillars of black stone jutted from the sand like the ribs of some impossibly large creature, carved with symbols that writhed and shifted when I looked at them too long. Architecture that defied geometry, angles that shouldn't exist, doorways leading into darkness that seemed to breathe. I stumbled toward the ruins because there was nowhere else to go, my throat already burning with thirst, my skin blistering under the triple moonlight. Each step felt heavier than the last, and I realized with growing horror that my legs were going numb. I looked down and saw it, a small puncture wound on my calf, already turning black at the edges, veins of darkness spreading up my leg like cracks in porcelain. Something had stung me during my fall, or maybe the moment I hit this alien sand. Panic clawed at my chest as the numbness crept higher, and I collapsed against one of the black pillars, sliding down into the sand. That's when I heard the laughter. Not cruel exactly, but knowing. Amused. Like someone watching a mouse realize it's already in the trap. The sound echoed from within the ruins, from everywhere and nowhere, and then she emerged from the shadows between the pillars like darkness given form and purpose. The Scorpion Queen. I knew what she was immediately, instinctively, the way prey knows its predator. She walked on 2 legs, but moved with an inhuman grace, her body a fusion of woman and arthropod that should have been grotesque, but was instead hypnotically beautiful in its wrongness. Her skin was chitinous armor the color of desert sunset, gold and amber and deep crimson, flowing over curves that were distinctly feminine before transitioning into the segmented body of a massive scorpion behind her. 8 legs carried her weight, clicking against the stone with a sound like claws on glass, and her tail rose high above her, ending in a stinger the size of a dagger, glistening with venom that dripped and sizzled on the sand. But it was her face that held me paralyzed. Beautiful in a way that felt dangerous, with high cheekbones and full lips, and eyes that were entirely black, multifaceted like gems, reflecting the moonlight in 1,000 tiny fragments. Her hair was long and white, flowing like silk in a wind I couldn't feel, and she wore nothing but jewelry of bone and gold, collars and chains that emphasized rather than concealed. She circled me slowly, each movement deliberate, predatory, and I tried to speak, but my tongue was already swelling, the poison working its way through my system. She crouched before me, impossibly close, and reached out with fingers that ended in delicate claws to trace the blackened veins on my leg. Her touch burned like ice and fire simultaneously, and she made a sound that might have been approval or satisfaction. "You are dying," she said, her voice like honey poured over broken glass, accented in ways that suggested languages that had never touched human ears. "My venom is quite efficient, 3 hours, perhaps 4, before your heart stops. It is a mercy, really. Most who fall through the world gates die far more slowly in my desert." She tilted her head, studying me with those insectoid eyes. "But you interest me, little lost thing. You fell from the sky like a gift from the dying gods. And it has been so very long since I had a visitor from the soft worlds." I managed to croak out a single word. "Please." Her smile was terrible and beautiful. "Please what? Please save you. Please kill you quickly. You must be more specific with your begging, little traveler. I am a queen, and queens demand proper supplication." She leaned closer, and I could smell her now. That same cloying perfume from the air, but stronger, more concentrated, mixed with something else. Something that made my vision blur and my thoughts scatter. "I could save you. My venom has an antidote, of course. What use is a weapon that cannot be controlled? But antidotes are precious things, and I do not give them freely. Through the haze of poison and fear and that intoxicating scent, I forced myself to focus. "What do you want?" She laughed again, delighted. Such a human question, so transactional. What do I want? She rose to her full height, towering over me, her tail swaying hypnotically above us both. "I want many things, little traveler. I want the return of the old empire. I want the other queens to bend their necks. I want the sun to burn again instead of these false moons. But from you?" She crouched again, bringing her face level with mine, so close I could feel her breath on my skin. "From you, I want a child." The words didn't make sense at first, couldn't make sense, but her clawed hand pressed against my chest, feeling my heartbeat, and the meaning crystallized with horrible clarity. "You want me to breed," she finished, the word sharp and precise. "The scorpion kin were once numerous, mighty, feared across all the burning lands. But the curse of conquest is stagnation, and we have dwindled. Our bloodlines grow thin, too much inbreeding, too much sameness. We need new blood, fresh blood, and the world gates so rarely deliver appropriate specimens." Her fingers traced patterns on my chest, almost tender. "You are weak, yes, fragile, but you have something we have lost. Genetic diversity, unpredictability, the chaos of the soft worlds in your very cells. A child born of my blood and yours would be strong, adaptable, a bridge between forms." I wanted to refuse, to spit in her face, to die with some shred of dignity. But the poison was spreading faster now, and all I could think about was the numbness creeping toward my heart, the certainty of death in this alien desert under alien moons. "And if I agree," I whispered, "then I grant you the antidote," she said simply. "I take you into my palace, into my chambers, and you live. You become my consort, my pet, my prized possession, until I am satisfied that a child has been conceived. After that," she shrugged, a gesture that rippled down her segmented body. "We shall see. Perhaps I keep you. Perhaps I release you to wander my lands as a free creature. Perhaps I give you to my daughters for their amusement. The future is not written, little traveler, except in one certainty. Refuse, and you die here in the sand, forgotten, unmourned, your bones picked clean by scavenger beetles within the hour." It wasn't really a choice at all, and she knew it. I could see the knowledge in those black eyes, the certainty that I would capitulate, that all creatures cling to life when death stares them down. I hated her in that moment with a purity of feeling I'd never experienced before. Hated her beauty and her power and her casual cruelty, but I also hated myself more for what I was about to say. "I agree." Her smile widened, showing teeth that were just slightly too sharp. Wise little thing. She moved with that impossible speed, her tail striking down, but not at me. The stinger pierced her own arm, and golden ichor welled up, luminescent and thick. She held the wound to my lips and commanded, "Drink." I hesitated, revolted, but her other hand gripped the back of my head with strength that could have crushed my skull, and she forced me to her wound. The taste was indescribable, like honey and metal and lightning, and it burned going down, burned through every vein, meeting the venom and neutralizing it in waves of agony that made me scream. She held me through it, her expression serene, almost maternal as I convulsed against her. The blackness receded from my veins, the numbness faded, feeling returning in rushes that were almost worse than losing it, and when she finally released me, I collapsed into the sand, gasping, alive. "There," she said, her wound already healing, the chitin knitting itself back together seamlessly. "A fair exchange. Your life for your service. Come, little consort, let me show you your new home." She gathered me up as if I weighed nothing, and I was too weak to resist as she carried me into the ruins, through corridors of that impossible black stone, descending into the earth through passages that seemed to shift and change around us. The darkness was absolute except for her own luminescence, that golden glow of her blood visible through her translucent armor, and the clicking of her legs echoed in rhythms that might have been language or music, or both. We descended for what felt like hours, spiraling deeper into the desert's heart, until the air grew cooler and I began to hear other sounds, chittering, scraping, the movement of many bodies in the darkness. She carried me into a vast chamber lit by veins of some phosphorescent mineral in the walls, casting everything in shades of green and blue, and I saw them, her court, her kingdom, her children. Scorpion kin of every size and configuration, from small ones barely larger than dogs to massive warriors that dwarfed their queen, all watching our entrance with those multifaceted eyes. Some were more human than arthropod, walking upright with only subtle carapace enhancements. Others were almost entirely scorpion, intelligence gleaming in their eyes, but bodies that belonged to nightmares. The queen carried me through their ranks, and they parted before her like water, clicking and chirping in what I gradually realized was speech, complex and layered, information passing through the colony faster than words. She took me to a raised platform of carved stone, a throne of sorts, and deposited me there with surprising gentleness before addressing her subjects in their own language. The sounds that came from her throat were impossible, clicks and whistles, and something that resonated in frequencies I could feel in my bones but not quite hear. Whatever she said caused a ripple of excitement through the assembled scorpion kin, and several of the more humanoid ones approached, bearing gifts, vessels of water that tasted faintly of minerals and earth, food that looked like pale fungi but tasted like meat, rich and overwhelming, and cloths of woven silk that they draped over my torn clothes. They touched me constantly, gently, examining me with their claws, and the queen watched it all with that same amused expression, like a cat that had brought home an interesting mouse. "They are curious about you," she explained, switching back to English or whatever translation magic made her speech comprehensible. "We have had prisoners before, tribute from the other realms, but never one who came willingly, never one chosen for breeding. They wonder if you are worthy of their queen's attention, or if you will prove disappointing." She gestured, and the others retreated, leaving us alone on the platform. "You may wonder the same thing, little traveler. Am I truly as formidable as I seem? Or is this elaborate palace merely a facade for a dying kingdom?" She moved closer, her tail coiling around the throne, trapping me gently but thoroughly. "Let me tell you of this world you have stumbled into, since you will be here for some time. This realm is called Ashkarath, the Burning Dominion, and it is very, very old. Once it was green and blue like your world, with oceans and forests and cities of such beauty that the gods themselves wept to look upon them. But the gods are fickle creatures, and when our ancestors displeased them, they turned the waters to salt and poison, burned the forests to ash, and cursed the dominant species with transformation." She gestured to herself, to her scorpion body. "We were not always like this. Once we were soft things like you, vulnerable, weak. The gods made us strong, gave us armor and venom, and the ability to survive in the waste they created. But they took our mercy, our compassion, our ability to build anything but tombs." I listened, still too weak to move, as she continued. "The curse fragmented our people. Some embraced the transformation fully, becoming pure scorpion, powerful but bestial. Others rejected it, clinging to their humanity, and they died in the desert, too weak to adapt. Those of us who remain are the compromise, the balance between forms, strong enough to survive but cursed with the memory of what we lost. We became tribes, then clans, then kingdoms, fighting over the scraps of the old world, the remaining water sources, the ruins that still hold power." Her hand stroked my face, almost tender. "I am the strongest of the remaining queens, ruler of the largest territory, but I am not invincible. The other queens plot against me constantly. The desert itself is hostile, filled with creatures far worse than my kind. And worst of all, we are dying out, our birth rate dropping with each generation until I fear we may be the last." "Why tell me this?" I managed to ask. "Because I need you to understand what is at stake," she replied. "You think this is about my pleasure, my cruel amusement, forcing you to service me like some harem slave from your world's fantasies. But it is survival, pure and simple. A child born of our union would have advantages neither pure scorpion kin nor pure human could possess. Adaptability, hybrid vigor, the potential to change the trajectory of my people's decline." She leaned close, her breath warm against my ear. "So yes, I will take you, use you, extract what I need from you, but do not mistake this for simple cruelty. This is desperation, dressed in the trappings of power. I don't know if that made it better or worse, knowing that my violation would serve some greater purpose beyond mere sadism, but it changed something in how I saw her. Not softening exactly, but complicating. She was a monster, yes, but a monster backed into a corner, fighting for her species' survival with the only weapons she had. It didn't make me hate her less, but it made me understand her more, and understanding is its own kind of trap. Over the following days, I learned the rhythms of the palace, if palace is the right word for that vast network of tunnels and chambers burrowed into the desert's heart. The queen kept me close, always within reach of her guards or herself, but she did not immediately demand what she had bargained for. Instead, she seemed determined to acclimate me, to make me understand the world I now inhabited. She had her attendants teach me the basics of their clicking language, and I discovered I had an ear for it. Perhaps something about the poison she'd given me or the antidote, some change in my neurology that made the alien sounds pass into meaning. She showed me the water chambers, vast cisterns carved from living rock, fed by underground springs that were the lifeblood of her kingdom. She explained the strict rationing, the constant patrols to prevent other tribes from stealing their supply, the religious significance of every drop. Water was currency here, wealth and power and life itself. And her control of these springs was the foundation of her queenship. She took me to the breeding chambers, where younger scorpion kin tended to eggs the size of watermelons, translucent shells showing the developing creatures within, already more scorpion than anything else. Our birth rate is less than half what it was in my grandmother's time, she explained, her voice tight with something that might have been grief. Each egg is precious, and still, most do not survive to hatching. Those that do emerge weak, prone to disease, mutations. We are a people in decline, and no amount of venom or warfare can stop it. She showed me the arsenal, weapons of chitin and bone and scavenged metal from the old world, intricate and deadly, and had her warriors demonstrate their use. I watched scorpion kin duel in training pits, their movements too fast to follow, venom flowing freely, and realized that even the smallest of them could kill me a dozen different ways without effort. My fragility in this place was absolute, my survival dependent entirely on the queen's whim and protection. And she showed me the throne room, the heart of her power, where she held court and passed judgment. I watched her dispense justice, settling disputes between clans, ordering executions with the same casual ease as granting boons, and saw the fear and reverence with which her subjects regarded her. She was not loved, I realized, but she was respected. And in a world like this, respect was more valuable than love. At night, she brought me to her chambers, a vast space carved with those same impossible geometries, filled with silk and treasure scavenged from the surface, bones of massive creatures I couldn't identify decorating the walls like trophies. She would coil around me on the sleeping platform, her body temperature fluctuating with the coolness of the underground, and she would talk, sometimes in English, sometimes in her own language, telling me stories of the old world, of gods and heroes, and mistakes that led to ruin. "Tell me of your world," she commanded one night, her tail wrapped loosely around my waist, not constricting but present, a constant reminder. "Tell me what it is like to live without God's curses, without venom in your veins, without the certainty of extinction." So I told her. I described cities of glass and steel, oceans that were actually blue, skies with one sun and one moon. I told her about technology and medicine and the mundane miracle of turning on a tap and having clean water flow. I described art and music and love, concepts that seemed foreign to her, and she listened with an intensity that was almost hungry, as if she could consume my memories and make them hers. "It sounds soft," she said finally. "Safe. Boring. A world without teeth." "It has teeth," I argued. "Just different kinds. Wars, disease, hatred. We destroy ourselves in slower, more complicated ways. But you do not face extinction," she countered. "You do not watch your children die in their shells. You do not fight over every drop of water, every scrap of food. You have the luxury of philosophy and art because you are not constantly at the edge of survival." Her tone was not envious exactly, but wistful. "Sometimes I wonder what I might have been in a world like yours. A scholar, perhaps. A teacher. Someone who created rather than destroyed." It was the most vulnerable thing she'd said to me, and I realized with shock that she was lonely, impossibly powerful, feared by all who knew her, but utterly alone at the apex of her kingdom. Queens apparently did not have equals, only subjects and enemies, and the isolation of her position had carved something hollow in her core. "You could still create," I said carefully. "This child you want, that's creation." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Creation and breeding are not the same thing, little consort. But yes, perhaps there is something to that. A child would be something new in a world of endings." That night, she made her first real advance, her hands and claws exploring my body with clinical curiosity, learning my structure, my vulnerabilities, my responses. It was not gentle, but neither was it violent, and I found myself responding despite my fear, despite my revulsion, because her touch carried that same narcotic quality as her scent, something chemical and irresistible that bypassed conscious choice. She stopped before going too far, seeming satisfied with her reconnaissance, and coiled around me to sleep, her breathing eventually synchronizing with mine in the darkness. The pattern continued for weeks, or what I assumed were weeks in a place without sun or natural day cycle. She would show me more of her kingdom during the waking hours, introduce me to her daughters, terrifying creatures who regarded me with frank curiosity, and discussed my potential breeding qualities in their clicking language as if I couldn't understand them. She would train me in survival skills, teaching me which creatures in the desert were merely deadly versus instantly fatal, how to find water sources by reading sand patterns, how to move without attracting sandworms the size of buildings. And at night, she would continue her exploration, pushing boundaries incrementally, acclimating me to her touch, her taste, the wrongness of her hybrid body until it began to feel almost normal. I hated that normalization more than anything else, the way my mind adapted to the impossible, finding patterns and even beauty in her alien form. Stockholm Syndrome, I told myself, or maybe just survival instinct. The mind's desperate attempt to make bearable the unbearable. But then came the night when she decided I was ready, and there was no more gradual acclimation, no more careful preparation. She took what she had bargained for with a certainty that brooked no resistance, and I discovered that pain and pleasure could blur into something indistinguishable when filtered through alien biology and chemistry. Her venom in small doses was euphoric, her secretions were hallucinogenic, and the act itself was so far beyond human experience that my mind struggled to process it, fragmenting into sensations I had no words for. When it was over, she held me as I shook. Her tail curled protectively around us both and whispered, "You survived. Not everyone does. Their first time with a queen. Consider it a trial passed." I wanted to ask how many hadn't survived, but I was too exhausted, too overwhelmed, and I fell into sleep or unconsciousness, dreaming of chitinous angels and deserts that sang with poison. The weeks that followed blurred together in a haze of repetition and gradual change. The queen's attention remained constant, but her demeanor shifted subtly, becoming less predatory and more possessive, as if I had transitioned from prey to property, a distinction that mattered in ways I couldn't fully articulate. She brought me to her war councils now, translating the clicking discussions of strategy and territory, explaining the complex politics of the Scorpion kingdoms. "The Sand Viper Queen controls the eastern wastes," she told me, gesturing to a map carved into stone, showing territories marked with different venoms. "She is old, older than me, but weak, her kingdom crumbling. She will not survive another decade, and when she falls, her lands will be divided among the stronger queens." "And you plan to claim them?" I guessed. "Of course, but so do the others. The Crimson Empress to the north, young and ambitious and dangerous. The twin sisters of the southern reaches, who share one throne and one mind, somehow. And worst of all, the silent queen of the western depths, who some say is not truly Scorpion kin at all, but something older, something from before the gods' curse." She traced patterns on the map with one claw. "When the Sand Viper falls, we will go to war, all of us, and the desert will run golden with blood. I need every advantage I can gather before that day comes, including a hybrid child," I said. "Especially a hybrid child. If I can prove that new bloodlines are viable, that we can breed beyond our own kind, it changes everything. Other queens will seek their own consorts from other realms. The curse may finally be broken, or at least bent to our advantage. She looked at me with those black eyes. You are not just my prisoner, little traveler. You are my revolution. It was almost flattering, in a horrifying way, to think that my violation might change the course of an entire species' history. Almost flattering, but mostly just nauseating. The queen seemed increasingly convinced that conception had occurred, though she had no way to know for certain for months yet. She became more protective, forbidding me from leaving the deep palace, increasing my guard, adjusting my diet to include rare foods from her personal stores. Her daughters visited more frequently, bringing gifts, speaking to my stomach in their clicking language, as if the potential child could already understand. If the child takes after you too much, it will be weak, one daughter said bluntly in my presence, not bothering to switch to English. But if it takes after mother too much, the incompatibility might kill it in the egg. The balance will be difficult. And if the balance is struck, another daughter asked, then we will have proved something that has not been proved in 1,000 years, that we can evolve beyond the God's plan, that we can become something new. The first daughter turned to me, switching to English with obvious effort. Do not disappoint my mother, human. She has risked much on you. If you fail, your death will be educational. It was perhaps the most honest threat I'd received in this place, and I appreciated the clarity of it. My life depended on my ability to produce a viable hybrid child, and if I failed, I was disposable, simple, brutal, refreshingly direct in a place where everything else was layered in ritual and ceremony. But as the weeks continued, something unexpected happened. I began to adapt. Not just physically, though the queen's venom and fluids had clearly altered my biochemistry in ways I couldn't fully understand, but mentally, psychologically. The rhythms of the Scorpion Kingdom became my rhythms. The clicking language became easier than English in my mind. The triple moons and bloody sky seemed normal when I occasionally glimpsed the surface during carefully guarded trips. I was being assimilated, absorbed into this alien culture, and part of me screamed in horror at the loss of my humanity, while another part whispered that humanity was just another form, another configuration of atoms, no more or less valid than what I was becoming. The queen seemed to sense this shift, this gradual surrender to the inevitable, and her treatment of me changed again, becoming something that might have been mistaken for affection in a creature capable of such emotion. She taught me to read the old script of her people, symbols that predated the curse, and together we studied ancient texts that spoke of the world before, of gods who walked among mortals and passed judgments that lasted eternally. She showed me artifacts from that lost age, technology that looked like magic, machines that drew water from air, weapons that could level mountains, all of it corroded and broken, fragments of a civilization that had reached for the divine and been slapped down for its presumption. We were like you once, she said, running a claw over a device that no longer functioned. Soft, ambitious, foolish enough to think we could bargain with gods. My ancestors demanded immortality, perfection, transcendence. The gods gave us exactly what we asked for. They perfected us for survival in the world they would create, made us immortal in the sense that we could survive anything short of decapitation, gave us transcendence by removing everything soft and weak from our nature. Be careful what you ask gods for, little traveler. They have a vicious sense of irony. I thought about that conversation often in the days that followed, wondering what I might have asked for if given the chance. What monkey's poor wishes might have led me to this moment, pregnant or possibly pregnant with a hybrid abomination, bound to a scorpion queen in a dead world under alien moons. Perhaps I had asked for adventure, for something beyond the mundane routine of my previous life, and some cruel god had delivered exactly that. Careful what you wish for echoing through dimensions. The confirmation came on what the scorpion kin counted as the first day of the killing season, when the desert heat reached its peak and only the strongest creatures emerged to hunt. The queen brought in a shaman, an ancient scorpion-kin so old her carapace had gone white as bone, who examined me with senses beyond sight, clicking and humming in frequencies that made my teeth ache. When she finally spoke, it was in the old language, and the queen translated with something in her voice I'd never heard before. Hope. She says the child grows within you, small yet, barely formed, but alive. Human and scorpion kin both. A true hybrid, viable and strong. When the queen's hand pressed against my stomach, reverent. You have succeeded, little consort. You have given me what I need. I should have felt horror, or grief, or some appropriate human emotion at learning I was carrying an alien creature. But instead, I felt only numbness and a strange, distant curiosity. What would it look like? Would it be more human or more scorpion? Would I survive the birth, or would it tear its way out like something from a horror film? Would I even recognize it as mine, or would it be too alien, too other to register as anything but monster? The queen seemed to sense my turmoil and she drew me close, her embrace more protective than possessive. The child will be extraordinary, she promised, and you will live to see it grow. I swear this on my venom and my throne. You are precious to me now, little consort, not just for what you carry, but for what you represent. Change, evolution, hope. I will not let you die. It was perhaps the closest thing to love I would ever receive from her, and I found myself clinging to it. This promise from a monster who had taken everything from me and given me purpose in return. Stockholm Syndrome for certain now, my mind adapting to captivity by finding meaning in my captor's goals. But what choice did I have? Resistance was death, compliance was survival, and between those binary options, life won. It always won, even life as twisted and wrong as mine had become. The news spread through the kingdom like wildfire, clicking gossip traveling the tunnels faster than I could walk them. The queen had bred successfully with an outsider. A hybrid child was coming. The curse could be broken. Other queens sent emissaries, some offering congratulations, others making veiled threats, all of them wanting to see me, examine me, confirm that the rumors were true. The queen allowed some visits, but kept me heavily guarded, not trusting her rivals, not to simply steal me or kill me to prevent her advantage. The Crimson Empress's emissary was particularly bold, a massive warrior scorpion kin who regarded me with frank hunger. My empress would pay handsomely for a night with your consort, she said to the queen in their language, assuming I couldn't understand. Name your price. Venom stores, territory, water rights. He is not for sale or rent, my queen replied, her tone glacial, and suggesting otherwise is an insult that would normally demand satisfaction. Tell your empress I'm feeling merciful today, but my mercy has limits. The emissary departed hastily, and the queen turned to me, her expression unreadable. They will try to take you, she said. Once they confirm you can breed true hybrid children, every queen in the wastes will want you, either to use for themselves or to eliminate as a threat. I cannot protect you alone, not against all of them. What are you saying? I asked, though I already knew. I am saying that your pregnancy has made you the most valuable creature in this realm, and the most endangered. I am saying that I must prepare for war, whether I wish it or not, because they will come for you, and I will defend what is mine. Her tail coiled around me, a familiar embrace. I am saying that you have changed everything, little traveler, and the consequences of that change have only begun. The war preparations began immediately, frantic and thorough. The queen recalled warriors from outlying territories, fortified the approaches to her palace, poisoned the desert around her lands to discourage invasion. She had her shamans lay curses and wards, her engineers prepare traps and deadfalls, her scouts watch the horizons for approaching armies. The kingdom transformed into a fortress, and I was locked in the deepest, most secure chamber, surrounded by her most loyal guards, waiting for the inevitable. The first attack came at night, if night means anything in a place where triple moons never truly set. Scouts from the twin sisters, trying to infiltrate through the water tunnels, were caught and executed, their bodies displayed at the border as warning. The silent queen sent no emissaries, no scouts, but the desert itself began to behave strangely in the western territories, sand moving with purpose, dunes forming shapes that might have been letters in some long-dead language. The queen tripled patrols in that direction, her unease palpable. The silent queen is the real threat, she confided one night, coiled around me in her chambers as she insisted despite the danger. The others I understand. They want power, territory, the ability to breed hybrids. But her? No one knows what she wants, or even what she truly is. Some say she predates the curse, that she was here before the gods punished us. that she is not scorpion kin at all, but something wearing our shape. If she moves against us, I do not know if we can stop her. Then why antagonize her? I asked. Why not offer to share? Give her access to me, to the child, in exchange for peace. The queen's laugh was bitter, because she would not honor such an agreement. She would take what I offered, and then destroy me for showing weakness. The only language queens understand is strength, little consort. Compromise is death. So we waited, and the child grew inside me, visible now as a swelling in my abdomen, and I wondered what kind of world I was bringing this creature into, this hybrid of impossible genetics, born into a war it didn't start, carrying the weight of evolutionary change in its very existence. I wondered if it would hate me for creating it, for bringing consciousness into a realm of venom and violence, or if it would be too alien to conceive of such human emotions. The queen tried to reassure me, but her reassurances rang hollow when she was simultaneously preparing for siege and possible annihilation. She brought shamans to examine the child regularly, ensuring its continued viability, and they all reported the same thing. The hybrid was thriving, developing faster than pure scorpionkin but slower than human, a blend of gestation periods that suggested something entirely new. Its genetic structure, they said, was like nothing they'd seen, a true fusion rather than a chimera, every cell carrying markers of both species in equal measure. If it survives to birth, the head shaman told the queen in my presence, it will be a bridge, the first of its kind, and if it can breed in turn, then yes, the curse can be broken. We can become something new, something the gods did not intend. And if other queens obtain similar consorts? The queen asked. Then there will be many bridges, many new bloodlines, and the scorpion kin will evolve or die. This is the threshold, Majesty. What you have done here will echo through centuries, for good or ill. The shaman turned those ancient eyes on me. The soft thing from the fallen sky carries our future in its belly. No wonder they all want it. That night, the full assault finally came. Not from one direction, but from all of them simultaneously, coordinated in a way that suggested communication between rival queens, an unprecedented alliance against a common threat. The Crimson Empress struck from the north with shock troops. The twin sisters attacked through the southern reaches. The Sand Viper Queen, supposedly weak and dying, launched a desperate raid from the east. And from the west, the Silent Queen's forces emerged, and they were wrong, fundamentally wrong in ways that made even the scorpion kin recoil. I watched from my guarded chamber as the queen directed the defense, her voice carrying through the tunnels in complex, clicking commands, coordinating her warriors with the precision of a master tactician. The palace became a killing ground, every tunnel a death trap, every chamber a battleground. Venom flowed like water, carapaces shattered. The clicking of combat was deafening, and through it all, the queen fought at the front, her own venom accounting for dozens of invaders, her tail moving too fast to follow as she defended her throne and her hybrid prize. But there were too many, and they kept coming, waves of scorpion kin surging through the defensive lines, pushing deeper into the palace despite horrific casualties. My guards held their position, prepared to kill me rather than let me be captured, and I understood that this was mercy in their worldview, that death was preferable to being breeding stock for enemy queens. I wondered if I agreed, if oblivion would be better than the continuation of this nightmare, but my hand went to my stomach, to the child growing there, and I found I couldn't make that choice, not for myself, and not for the life I carried. The queen fought her way back to my chamber, blood golden and red both coating her carapace, her movements still precise despite obvious exhaustion. "We cannot hold," she said without preamble. "There are too many, and the Silent Queen's forces are breaking through from the west. I must evacuate you, take you deeper, to places even I do not fully understand, old places beneath the palace that predate my kingdom." "What's down there?" I asked as she gathered me up, and her remaining guards formed a protective ring. Answers, perhaps, or just different deaths, but it is our only chance. She moved with desperate speed, carrying me through corridors I'd never seen, descending past the deepest chambers I knew of, into passages that felt ancient, wrong, carved by hands or claws that predated scorpion kin. The temperature dropped as we went deeper, and the phosphorescent lichen gave way to a different kind of light, a sickly green glow that emanated from the walls themselves. We emerged into a chamber so vast its ceiling was lost in darkness, and in its center stood something that made even the Queen hesitate. A gate, massive and impossibly complex, its surface covered in the same shifting symbols I'd seen on the ruins when I first arrived, but denser, more intricate, pulsing with a light that hurt to perceive directly. "The World Gate," the Queen whispered. "I knew it existed somewhere beneath my palace, but I have never seen it active before. It should not be active. These things only open during cosmic alignments, when the barriers between realms grow thin. Or maybe," I said, understanding crystallizing with horrible clarity, "it opened when I fell through the first time, and it never fully closed. Maybe it's been waiting for this moment, for me to return." The Queen set me down gently, her eyes fixed on the gate. "If you go through, you might return to your world. You might escape all of this. The war, the birth, the consequences of our union. And if I do," I asked, "what happens to you? To the child?" "I die here, most likely, overwhelmed by the combined armies of my rivals. And the child?" She touched my stomach one last time, her claw gentle. "The child comes with you, if it survives the transition between worlds. A hybrid creature loose in your soft realm, carrying genetics that could change both our species forever." Behind us, the sounds of pursuit grew louder, the clicking of many legs, the scrape of chitin on stone. We had minutes at most before they found us, before the choice was taken away entirely. "Come with me," I said impulsively, surprising myself with the offer. "If the gate takes us both, we escape together. You can't win this fight, but maybe we can both survive." She looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something complex pass through those inhuman eyes, calculation and affection, and desperate hope warring with duty and pride. "If I abandon my kingdom, my subjects die. Everything I have built collapses. But if I stay, you and the child die, and everything I have built becomes meaningless anyway." The pursuit burst into the chamber, led by an enormous scorpion kin bearing the Crimson Empress's colors, and behind her, something worse. Creatures that might have been scorpion kin once but had been twisted into new configurations, multiple tails, too many legs, mouths in wrong places, the Silent Queen's forces, and they moved with a coordination that suggested hive mind rather than individual intelligence. "Decide now, little consort," the Queen hissed, positioning herself between me and the approaching army. "Through the gate or death here. I can hold them long enough for you to escape, but only if you go now." I looked at the gate, pulsing with otherworldly light, promising escape or possibly just a different kind of death. I looked at the Queen, this monster who had become my captor, my tormentor, my protector, my purpose. I looked at my stomach, at the impossible life growing there, neither human nor scorpion kin, but something new, something unprecedented. And I made my choice, stepping toward the gate, not away from it, but in a direction that would force the Queen to follow, or watch me enter alone. She snarled something in her own language, probably a curse, and then she moved with me, her guards forming a fighting retreat, holding the passage against the tide of attackers as we approached the gate. The light intensified as we neared, and I could feel it pulling at me, recognizing something in my cells, in my quantum signature, whatever had allowed me to fall through in the first place. The Queen felt it too, flinching back from the threshold, her nature fundamentally incompatible with the crossing. "I cannot," she gasped, her carapace starting to smoke where the light touched it. "I am too changed, too much a creature of this realm. The gate rejects me." "Then the child decides," I said, taking her claw and placing it on my stomach, where the hybrid life pulsed with its own strange rhythms. "Half yours, half mine. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's the bridge the shaman talked about." For a moment, nothing happened, and I thought we were both going to die here, burned by gateway light or torn apart by the approaching armies. But then the child kicked, moved, and something in that movement resonated with the gate, and the rejection ceased. The light stabilized, shifted, became something that could accept both scorpion kin and human, bridge and gateway both. The Queen looked at me with something that might have been wonder. "You clever little thing. You have always been the bridge, not just carrying it, but embodying it. Very well. Let us see what lies on the other side of curses and cosmic punishments." We stepped through together, her tail wrapped around me, guards following, just as the Silent Queen's forces reached the gate's threshold. I had one last glimpse of the vast chamber, of chitinous horrors pouring through every entrance, and then the gate swallowed us whole, and reality bent in ways that made my previous transition seem gentle by comparison. I felt the child inside me scream silently as its hybrid genetics were stressed beyond design parameters, felt the queen's body trying to tear itself apart as her structure rejected the crossing, felt my own cells debating whether to remain human or become something else entirely. And then we were through, tumbling out onto sand that was different, wrong, the color of Earth's deserts, but the temperature of Earth's nights. And above us hung one moon, just one, silver and familiar and beautiful in its singular loneliness. We had made it, crossed back through the gate, and I was home. Except I wasn't, because home didn't have a scorpion queen and her guards collapsing on the sand beside me, their carapaces cracking from the transition, golden ichor leaking onto Arizona red rock. The queen raised her head with obvious effort, looked at the single moon and laughed, the sound broken and triumphant. "Your soft world," she whispered. "We made it to your soft world. Now what, little consort? How do we explain you to your kind? How do we explain us?" I had no answer because I hadn't thought that far ahead, hadn't considered what happened after escape. How to integrate a scorpion queen and her hybrid child into a world that had no context for such things. But before I could formulate any kind of response, I felt something else, something wrong, and looked back at the gate we'd emerged from. It wasn't closing. If anything, it was growing, stabilizing, and through its shimmering surface, I could see the chamber we'd left, see the silent queen's forces approaching the threshold, testing it with their twisted appendages, and I understood with dawning horror what we'd done. We hadn't escaped through the gate, we'd opened it. We'd created a stable bridge between worlds, and now there was nothing stopping an invasion in either direction, nothing preventing the silent queen from following us through, from bringing her armies into Earth's deserts, from spreading the curse that had destroyed her world into mine. The queen saw it too, saw the implications, and her expression cycled through horror and resignation before settling on grim determination. "We must close it," she said, trying to stand, failing. "Destroy it. Break the connection before they cross." "How?" I demanded, but I already knew the answer, could feel it in the way the gate pulsed in rhythm with the child in my womb. The bridge required anchors on both sides, and the child was one anchor, the product of both worlds. But the gate itself needed power, needed a sacrifice, needed something to sever the connection permanently. "My life," the queen said simply. "I am the other anchor, the one who crossed when she should not have been able to cross. My death will destabilize the gate, collapse it, seal the pathway. It is elegant, really. The god's irony strikes again. I escape my world only to die in yours, but at least my death serves purpose." "No," I said automatically, though I didn't know why I would care about a monster who had taken me, used me, fundamentally altered everything I was. "There has to be another way." "There is always another way," she agreed, her voice weakening as her body continued its rejection of Earth's physics. "But none that we have time to find. They are coming through, little consort. Look." And she was right. The first of the silent queen's forces was testing the gate in earnest now, twisted limbs reaching through, and where they touched Earth's sand, the ground itself began to change. Scorpion-kin biology proving invasive in ways that would rewrite the ecosystem if allowed to spread. The queen pulled me close one last time, her embrace gentle despite her failing strength. "Raise the child," she commanded. "Teach it both worlds, both natures. Let it become what I could never be, something new, something free of curses, something that chooses its own shape. And if you remember me at all, remember not just the monster who took you, but the queen who tried, in her own broken way, to save her people and yours both." Then she released me, turned toward the gate, and gathered the last of her venom, the last of her life force, and struck at the gate's framework with her tail, pumping every drop of poison she had left into the structure. The gate convulsed, its light shifting from green to gold to black, and the queen screamed as the connection consumed her, using her as fuel to collapse itself. And I watched helplessly as she dissolved, carapace cracking, ichor flowing, until nothing remained but ash that scattered across Arizona sand. The gate imploded with a sound like reality breaking, and the bridge collapsed, sealing itself, leaving only scorched earth and that rapidly dissipating ash. No more triple moons. No more clicking armies. No more scorpion kingdoms waiting on the other side. Just me, alone in a desert I no longer quite recognized, pregnant with a child that was both mine and hers, carrying a future I couldn't predict, and a past I would never escape. I stood there for a long time, hand on my stomach, feeling the child move, and wondered what happened next, how I would explain any of this, how I would raise a hybrid creature in a world that had no context for such things. I wondered if the Queen's sacrifice had truly sealed the gate or just delayed the inevitable. I wondered if other gates existed, if the Silent Queen would find another way through, if the war I'd fled would eventually come to Earth regardless of our precautions. But most of all, I wondered what the child would choose when it was old enough to understand. Human or scorpion kin, Earth or Ashkarath, the soft world or the burning dominion. Because the bridge still existed, not in stone and light, but in flesh and blood. And someday, that choice would have to be made. Above me, Earth's single moon shone cold and distant, and somewhere in my hybrid cells, the child stirred, carrying a queen's final hope and a species' last desperate gamble toward evolution or extinction, bridge or doom, transformation or annihilation, and the only certainty was that nothing would ever be simple again.